Hello and welcome to Tonalist Painting with M. Francis McCarthy. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy. And the painting we're going to be talking about today is a study, actually. It's called Dappled Glade and it is a 5x7. I painted this painting just about a year ago. I'd say it was December of 2015, and I'm pretty happy with it. I believe it's been long ago sold, and the larger version, which we'll be discussing next week, is in a gallery on consignment or something right now. So it's certainly a motif that's had some resonance with people. It's interesting that the reference photo is actually cropped out of this much larger scene, and I'd bypassed it for many a year until one day I'd look at this one area of this reference photograph and thought, wow, that could be interesting, that could be intimate and sort of simple. It was basically just one of my paintings of light and shadow, I would say. The scene itself is, just some trees and structure, but I really like this kind of scene, and I'm sure in this next year I'll be doing a lot more of these sort of interior forest scenes, I guess you could call them. I have a lot of reference that I think applies for this sort of thing. From my trip to England, mostly, which is a very forested place for those of you that have not been there. The thing that's cool about this is it's got that early morning light, and it's so difficult. I mean, you get up in the morning, you go out to get some reference, and it might be overcast or foggy or what have you, but if you're lucky enough to get that really nice sideways light, it creates an interest in beauty automatically. It's one of the great things about getting up early in the morning, and to a large degree you could maybe get the same effects at twilight, although it seems to be a different feel. The light's less bright, it's more dusty and smoky, and whatever, these are subtle things. Anyway, those of you following the YouTube channel and the blog will probably note that I fell a little bit behind yesterday in rolling out it was day 8 of 25 Days of Tonalism, but it's up now. I've done it, and I'm on schedule. I'm dedicating the time today to get this scene done, and like I was saying a couple weeks ago, how it is around the new year, you kind of reflect on the year that's gone before, and so I went digging in my archives and found this Dappled Glade scene and its larger brother, which like I said we'll be talking about next week. And I mean, it's really interesting how little you guys actually see of the work I do. You see a lot of the studies I've done for the tonalism, both the 100 days and the 25 days, but a lot less of my own stuff. I've got archives like you wouldn't believe, and with a lot of good images. I do tend to feature the images that I'm most excited about, so I do think you guys are probably seeing a lot of the best stuff, but this is a case of there's a lot of gems in there that may not be seen until like I said, at some point in the future I'd like to have sort of an online archive of all my videos and paintings and blog posts and things, and we'll get there at some point. Right now, that would require so much time. I'd almost need to hire somebody to do it. And as it stands, I really only have myself and my wife as my resources right now, and she works, so it's only so much that I can do. And what I tend to do is focus on doing paintings and getting paintings done while I can. And this year I'm hoping to do, this is, actually today, for those of you that are interested, and all of us are going to be in the future rapidly, so I guess it would be interesting, is January 8th, 2017. So here we are in a brand new year. And I'm looking forward this year to doing a lot more paintings. I'm going to have a gallery show coming up in June or July, which I'm creating work for. And I'm hoping it's going to be a big, exciting year for me that way. But either way, what I really want to do is create a lot of awesome paintings, and that is always its own reward. Spending your time productively creating beautiful stuff is a great way to spend time. Oh, pardon me. Just a little work outside. Feeling a little sniffly from all the foliage that's up my nose here. So, what was life like in the studio this last week? That's what you're wondering. That's what you really want to know. I'm finishing up a series of 5. There was one I mentioned in a couple of the last videos of this lake scene that was problematic. At one point I had turned it to face the wall. I was so disgusted with it. The little study worked out fine. It's a blue sky with white fluffy clouds. This is something that I have done successfully a few times, but for the most part it doesn't seem to work out for me. And the clouds in this one, it just looked like a giant pile of mashed potatoes in the sky. It was very eye-catching and just problematic all the way around. So I thought, oh, maybe I'll just paint over the whole thing. I put it under a table. But then one day I thought, well, you know what? I'm gonna paint an entirely different sky. There's nothing really wrong with the bottom bit. And so and it's the kind of painting that's, 1/4 of the painting is landscape on the bottom and the rest would be sky. So I basically found myself some reference of a super dramatic stormy sky, and went completely the opposite direction than the blue sky with fluffy clouds. And I'm pretty happy with it now. So this was turning something that would have been just a guaranteed stinker into a nice painting. It's again, it's the subject matter that I don't know. This lake, it's kind of a little bit far away. It's almost a vista type of view. It's not the kind of thing I usually do, but it's a successful painting. I'm proud to put my name on it and to show it and sell it if that happens. And either way, I don't like to have a lot of paintings around that I'm not proud of. That's going to be just my luck that's the one that the public gets to see the most of when I'm no longer around. So I tend to destroy them or paint over the top of them. Either way, it's discouraging. It's a bummer. But if it was easy to do, it wouldn't be as fun to succeed. And that's one of the great things about landscape painting. It's not terribly easy to do. So I'm finishing things up in the studio, and I've picked I did about, I think it was 12 studies or 10 studies, and I picked 5 of them to realize paintings. And there was a vertical one I was hoping to do to make 6, but I'd forgotten to prep the board and basically just jumped into the 5. But I've got 2 verticals that I pulled out of those, and one horizontal scene. So I'm gonna get those 3 going next, and usually I go after more than 3, but who knows, it might just take me a couple weeks, and then I can get out of January real clean with 8 paintings and 8 studies, well, even more studies. But yeah, these and one of these verticals, I usually like to do my verticals at 11 by 14. I thought I had more boards, but I ran into an issue. In fact, I need to make a note about working on ply for you guys on the blog. I have these boards that are calorie ply, and they're just totally warped to the point where, yeah, I could do a painting on them and you can muscle them into a frame, but the actual integrity of the painting, if I ever ship it or work with anybody online with it, they'd go, why is this so frickin' warped? So basically I just have to kiss those boards goodbye. My workaround, this is an issue I ran into with the ply pretty extensively, was It's just got this tension in it, and so my workaround that's I've been doing for almost 3 years now, or at least 2 years, is I have a laminate of a Cowrie laminate on a what they call MDF out here, and what we call in the States it's masonite, and that's very flat, very stable, no tension in it, and it's a wonderful surface to work on. I highly recommend it. You can go to your ply guy and you can pretty much order a laminate of any kind of wood that you like on masonite, and I'll probably write a blog post about it, so we'll get into that later. Anyway, you can see we're getting close to the end here. Thanks for joining us today for Dappled Glade, the study. If you'd like to see more of my work, go to landscapepainter.co.nz. Check it out. There's some paintings there. You can follow the blog there, whatever. And you can also contact me through there. We'll see you next week. Meanwhile, take good care and stay out of trouble.